Did you know that there is not only... Did you know that for Sidechain you can automate not only the volume... There is... Did you know that there is more to Sidechain than just automating the volume using a compressor or any other instance? Let's say in this particular instance I'm gonna talk about how you can sidechain using FabFilter dynamic equalizer. So what happens, the root frequency of your snare drum is that like kind of sound. Is really nice. It's really warm punch, and when you mix it nicely into sub bass, it just brings this nice feeling of fullness to your bass and snare and how they work together. So for using that, you can't achieve it fully with volume sidechain, just because it's gonna bring down the volume of the whole bass sound, and it still sounds alright, but it's not gonna sound as advanced, let's say, and as proper nice as if you also added a frequency. Well, let's call it like frequency sidechain, and take the volume just of that frequency range where the snare is, you know, at its like warmest and like proper punchy side. So when you take that that frequency side from the bass line when the snare hits, and then bring it back when the snare is not hitting, let's see what happens. We've got the instance running here. We've got some drums. And we've got some bass. It's quite wide and spacious. So, to be fair, in this instance, the drums, they already sound in their full glory. But we can, you know, for the sake of tutorial, we can see how we can improve it. So, sidechain. The way you can do sidechain is by using media triggering. In this particular moment, I'm gonna use audio signal as a trigger for sidechain. So classical way, I think, how people usually work is you have your kick, you have your snare. Cool. So because of this, I specifically make different audio tracks for particular sound, important sound. Let's say kick and snare important because this is where you want to duck your bass. From here we go to the bass and we create a compressor tool for sidechain, and we're gonna bring, you see, when you come to compressor, you press this arrow key, and it you know, it offers you, would you like to use some sidechain maybe, and you say of course mate. So audio from, so that's where compressor is gonna read the signal coming into it and know, okay, that's the time to duck the volume of the sound that this compressor is on. In this particular case is bassline. So cool, let's assign two separate ones because I've created two separate tracks. One is going to be dedicated for kick, one is going to be dedicated for snare. Again, there is no best or worst way to use it, it's just the way though it works for you, just like pretty much in anything else. So for this case, you see it's already showing some signal is being processed. So as more in threshold you go, as more gain reduction you're gonna get. DR stands for gain reduction. So but that's quite extreme case, so let's bring it somewhere here. The sidechain technique I was talking about, you know, sidechaining specific frequency ranges. So for this we're gonna need equalizer. We have a dynamic EQ, and there is also an option for sidechain in this dynamic EQ. So what you do, we're gonna create a return channel. Let's call it a sidechain snare, and if we're gonna send this to, so our return is here, so that's the last 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth return. So enable soon, if you bring it up all the way here, you get Cool. So we got this. Bring the sound into the equalizer. There is again sidechain option. In this sidechain option, you just bring the signal from sidechain snare that we just created from the return channel. So boom, we can see. Yeah, at the first you won't see this. So what you have is you're gonna need to go to your analyzer and just enable the sidechain spectrum. This will let you know. This will tell you. There you go, the snare is playing. You can see the visual representation and frequency range of the snare. You can straight away see where is this nice punchy side of your snare on the mid-range of your frequency spectrum. So, cool, we got this. So now let's sidechain. In this parameter is by default automatic, so basically when the sound is being played, whatever is hitting certain threshold starts to duck on its own. We don't want that. We want to use external signal to tell when to duck that area. So if you press this button over here when it's blue, it tells you that okay, the sidechain is gonna come in, and that's what it's gonna do. So there you go. Now you can see the spectrum of the sound and the snare and everything. And it what's cool about that it allows you to see. It allows you to see where to direct your range to duck the frequencies. In this case, it's around here. Cool. To make it more dramatic, let's bring the range down drastically. Cool. So like just listen to the relationship of snare drum and bass. So you can hear that when the snare hits, it just gives that proper nice resonating punch. I think it's due to the fact that it's ducking that area. You can also combine the sidechains all together, and it will give you a really nice punchy. In this case, it's going to be a little bit over dramatic, but for the tutorial purposes, so you get the idea of what it does. Let's say if you beef up your signal a little bit. Yeah, you can do the same to your kick drums, hi-hats, you know, dedicate to particular areas. Let's say if your cymbals and hi-hats resonate with too much with the vocals and overpower them, that's what you can use, is not to just duck the overall volume of the sound that you want to duck, let's say hi-hats when the vocal is playing, or the lead sound when the vocal is playing, but just specific frequency ranges, and then it will allow you to have a fuller, nicer working together mix that can also benefit you with giving an overall louder sound without, you know, worrying about distortions and all that stuff. Distortion is good, but in this case, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, on to the next video.